thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Signing autographs. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle!
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun! Come on and join us!
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Well, Rocky and Bullwinkle's dream of getting a mooseberry bush has turned into a nightmare, for they have at last run into that legendary figure of mountain lore, the abominable snowman.
Is he following us, Bullwinkle?
I'm not even gonna turn around to find out.
Even Boris Badenov, who thought he had made up the snowman out of sheer make-believe, had to admit that there was such a thing.
But Boris, a live man-eating snowman, such a thing couldn't be.
You give me couldn't be, he give me is.
And as the four fleeing figures scrambled over the ice, the snowman steadily gained on them.
Wait, hold up.
What is it, Sir Hillary?
There's only one way for any of us to escape.
What's that?
Somebody's got to stay here and fight it out with snowmen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
How's about you staying?
That don't make no sense at all.
Whatever we do, we better do fast. He'll be here in a minute.
Well, there's only one fair way to decide who stays. We draw straws.
Boris, not that.
Long straw gets to be big hero, okay?
Well, I suppose that's fair enough.
But where are we gonna get straws?
Just so happens I got some right here.
Yeah, funny how that works out.
Everybody take one. Princess Bubbles, Squirrel, me, and now Moose.
Boy, it sure is a long one.
Yeah, that's the first straw I ever seen I could pole vault with.
You won! Congratulations, old fellow!
Yeah, I'm just lucky, I guess.
Now, if you'll excuse us...
Well, I suppose it's up to me, Rocky. Rocky? Yoo-hoo! Rocky! Gee, he's gone.
Yes, Bullwinkle stood alone as the snowman came nearer and nearer.
I feel just like what's-his-name at the bridge.
When the snowman was within range, Bullwinkle jabbed at him with his makeshift weapon. Unfortunately, the telescoping straw did just that.
What do you know? I got a short straw after all. Okay, cold and ugly, pull him up.
Just then, the moose heard a welcome voice from above him.
Bullwinkle, stand aside!
Yes, high on a nearby cliff was Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Of course, our hero would never desert a friend in need.
Out of the way, Bullwinkle! Here I come!
And from his high perch, Rocky launched himself like a guided missile directly at the huge form of the abominable snowman. And then the impact was tremendous. So severe was the shock that in Japan, seismograph needles jumped right off the paper. In Honolulu, there was a snowstorm. And in Waxahachie, Texas, for the first time in 17 years, it rained. Back in Pottsylvania, Rocky pulled himself out of the snowbank and dashed to his pal.
Bullwinkle, speak to me! Speak to me!
Certainly, what would you like to hear?
Oh, thank goodness you're okay.
Oh, I'm fine, but he's having a little trouble.
Sure enough, the abominable snowman was behaving very oddly.
What do you suppose he's saying?
I don't know, but he's saying it in two voices.
What you say to us, snowman?
I said, get me out of here.
Bullwinkle, I recognize that voice.
You're sure it's not just his stomach growling?
Get me out of here.
Bullwinkle, that voice belongs to Gidney, the Moon Man.
Great gobs of goo, Rocky. The Moon Man has been ate by the snowman.
Well, could Bullwinkle be right for the first time? And if so, what in the world can be done to go get Gidney? Be sure to see our next episode, The Moon Man is Blue, or The Inside Story.
And now it's time for...
Time for the dancing fool, Bullwinkle.
Again? And now for one of our special fairy tales.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was a thumb. This thumb belonged to a man who lived in the kingdom of King Arthur. It was the most magnificent thumb in the land. People would come from miles around just to admire it.
Some thumb.
But it wasn't always this way.
I'll tell the story, if you please. There was a time when the man didn't have such a beautiful thumb. In fact, he had thumbs just like anyone else, one right-handed, one left-handed. And because there was nothing unusual about his thumbs, he spent his time working very hard as a plowman. Then, one day, the plowman's wife made a wish.
I should be the happiest creature in the world if I had a son. Although he were no bigger than my husband's thumb, I would be satisfied.
Well, it so happened that Merlin, the famous magician, was just outside her window. He heard her statement and was so amused by the prospect of a boy no bigger than a man's thumb that he granted the woman's wish. Well, it might have been funny to Merlin, but the plowman was not at all amused.
Just another mouth to feed.
Oh, he won't eat much, and who knows, he may grow up to be 6'4".
But it so happened that Tom Thumb, which is what they named him, ate more than the plowman and his wife put together. But grow up, he did not. At the age of 16, he was still no bigger than his father's thumb. Tom's mother loved him, of course, but she would thoughtlessly display him around town as though he were a pet bird. It was about this time that Tom made friends with a butterfly.
If he does that again, I'm going to buy a fly swatter.
Fly swatter? They'll never get you with any old fly swatter. It's time we split, man. Cut out to the big city.
So Tom did cut out to the big city and formed the Big Thumb Gang with himself as leader.
It's Big Thumb.
He had channeled his butterfly, added dual carburetors, and put in oversized valves. He had the hottest topped-up butterfly in the kingdom.
Okay, now here's our first caper. The candy store on Elm Street.
But as the gang studied the plans outside their hideout...
You've got the butterfly net?
Yep.
Well, be prepared to use it. They don't call me Inspector Snoot for nothing. I've sniffed around, and I can smell a candy store heist in the making. All right, men, let's go.
But Tom and his gang no sooner started out than they were trapped by Inspector Snoot, and Tom ended up back in the birdcage. However, news of his plan reached the newspapers.
Snoot nets Big Thumb! Juvenile delinquency gains in kingdom!
And I say to you that if nothing is done about this juvenile delinquency, I demand that King Arthur himself be investigated.
It's the king's fault!
The king's fault.
The king's fault?
The king's fault.
I don't know why we have to have a king like that. I don't know. I think the king's fault.
Merlin, come here.
It's the king's fault. The king's fault.
Will you stop holding there? We've got to get to the bottom of this thing. We've got to find out why the lad became delinquent. You talk to him.
Now then, my boy, just when did you start to go wrong? When I was 12 years old, I had a feeling there was something different about me. I was 12 years old and only 3 inches high. I longed to be big, big, big. So when I met my only friend, I escaped to become the biggest man in the kingdom, Big Thumb. And I am big, too. I've created a monster.
So Merlin confessed to King Arthur.
So you see, sire, I'm responsible for the lad's behavior.
Well, fix him back to normal size, Merlin.
But I can't break my own spell.
Spell schmell. You get him out of it or else.
Merlin thought and thought, but could come to no answer until one day it struck him.
If the spell says he has to be as big as his father's thumb, why not?
So, the next day in the plowman's house...
There seems to be something happening to my thumb.
Sure enough, Merlin had cast a spell on the plowman's thumb, and as it grew, so did Tom, until he was a normal-sized boy. Tom never again thought of crime. The king made him keeper of the royal butterflies, and Tom's father never again touched a plow, for his thumb became so famous that the king made him a national monument. And Tom's mother? Why, she bought a bird for her bird cage, and so they were all deliriously happy ever after.
Eeny, meeny, chilly, beany, the spirits are about to speak.
Are they friendly spirits?
Friendly? Just listen.
And now for all you aspiring intellectuals, here's Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, aspirings. Today's thesis is how to cure the hiccups. Now, in order to cure the hiccups, you must first have a hiccuper. You got the hiccups, Boris?
What for I got to have hiccups?
So I can cure them. Oh, never mind. I'll help you get hiccups, then I'll cure them. One of the most popular ways to catch hiccups is to eat rich food.
That's rich food. Looks just like chicken.
It is chicken.
Chicken isn't rich.
Then we'll make it rich by stuffing it with dollar bills, pieces of 8, a few pieces of 9. Now, down the hatch. Splendid. Now, let me hear those hiccups.
Can't.
Why not?
'Cause rich food agrees with me.
Another way of getting hiccups is overexertion. You all set to run?
All set.
Then you're off! 2 hours on the cinder path. You have the hiccups?
No, but I got the Davis cup, the gold cup, a mustache cup, and the cup of coffee.
When you really get down to it, the only thing that'll give you hiccups is to drink 42 gallons of milk. Bottoms up!
Oh, boy.
Now, let me hear what I'm after.
How's everything going, Mr. Know-It-All?
Oh, the whole thing's a bust.
Well, better luck next time. Thank you, Mr.
Wouldn't you know it?
COD. To most people, that means cash on delivery. But to the Canadian Mounted Police, it means Clyde's on duty. And today is the day of days when Clyde, after 83 years of faithful service, is to be given an honorable discharge.
Mounty Clyde, it is men like you that have made this service what it is. Who's got the watch?
Oh, yes. The usual reward was a solid gold $3 watch. And the Mountie who held it for safekeeping was our hero, Dudley Do-Right, the man who did everything he was told, incorrectly.
Here is the watch, sir.
Do-Right, what is this?
Clyde's watch. I cleaned it.
In the wash tub?
No, sir, the washing machine.
The discharge ceremony was held up while Dudley rode into town to pick up another timepiece. Alas, the only clock shop was a hock shop, under the larcenous operation of that notorious ne'er-do-well, charlatan, rogue, viper.
Keep going, I'm in there somewhere.
Snidely Whiplash.
So you wish to purchase a solid gold $3 watch, eh, Do-Right?
Yes, sir, and to go.
Whiplash promptly displayed an armful of watches, and Dudley selected the most glittering and the cheapest.
11 cents and it's yours.
But Dudley was short on money and intelligence.
I'll tell you what, you've touched my good-natured heart. I'll let you have the watch if you'll put up collateral.
Unwittingly, and that's Dudley, he signed an innocent-looking document which simply turned the ownership of the post over to Whiplash. 1 week later...
Pardon me, Inspector, but why are all we Mounties standing outside the post with our bags packed?
Because at 5 o'clock, Snidely Whiplash is foreclosing the mortgage on the post.
Sure enough, at 4:30, Whiplash arrived, or slithered, onto the scene.
Begone, do-gooders, and never darken my door again.
Whiplash, you devil.
Flattery will get you nowhere, Inspector.
Defeated, the Mounties pocketed their pride and their meager belongings and made to depart. That's when Nell, daughter of Inspector Fenwick and post mascot, put in an appearance at the gate.
Wait for me, Daddy.
Gad, she moves like a greyhound.
I'll tell you what, Inspector. You let me marry Nell, and you can have the post back.
Never, you cur. Nell is mine.
But, Dudley, I think I could get to like Mr. Whiplash.
You don't know what you're saying, Nell.
Yes, I do.
Stay out of this, Jew-Right. It's the only way we can get the post back.
No, it isn't. Whiplash, how much cash must be raised by 5 in order to buy back the mortgage?
$3 million and 45 cents.
That 45 cents is going to be tough, but I shall do it.
I doubt it, but if you do, bring it to me. Nell and I'll be waiting at the church.
Dudley had no time to lose.
All right, Mountie, you got yourself a deal. You and your horse jump off that tower into this bucket of water. I'll pay you $3 million.
And 45 cents.
Right.
Dudley had a fear of heights, but luckily his horse was normal.
Keep your eye on the tower and on that great daredevil, Deadly Do-Right.
That's Dudley. All right, horse, remember, this is for Nell.
Over they plunged out into space, falling. As I mentioned before, Dudley's horse had no fear of heights, but he did have poor eyesight.
We're a hit, horse. We did it. Now to collect the money.
That was no easy task, for the circus owner, intent upon watching the breathtaking descent, had wandered too near the lion's cage and...
Oh, I hope he had Blue Cross.
5 o'clock, the hour when Nell would be lost to him forever.
Oh, if only there was some way of foiling Whiplash. If only... Quick, horse, to the church.
At exactly 5:15, the wedding ceremony ended.
I have Nell, Inspector. Here is the deed of the post.
I shall hate to call you son, Whiplash. Perhaps I can elongate it a bit and make it come out all right.
Call me anything you like, as long as Nell is mine.
Ah, but there you are mistaken, Whiplash.
Do right, you missed the services.
Tell me, sir, is the post ours once more?
Till the end of time, my boy.
Goody. And now, Whiplash, I have a surprise for you.
Oh?
What you have just married is not Nell.
You've been out in the sun too long, Do-Right.
Have I? I tricked you, you rascal. That's not Nell. That's my horse in a Nell suit.
What?
You married my horse.
Prove it.
I shall. Will the real Nell please come in here?
All eyes gaped in astonishment as another Nell walked in.
That is my horse. This is Nell. Say something, Nell.
Well, the attack of the abominable snowman came to grief when our boy Rocky zoomed to the defense of his pal Bullwinkle. The snowman definitely came off the loser, but then both our heroes were surprised to hear a familiar voice emerging from inside the snowman.
Get me out of here.
That's our friend Gidney, the Moon Man.
But how can we get him out? He's been ate by the snowman.
No, Bullwinkle, he is the snowman.
Only half Rocky. I'm the other part.
Hey, that sounds like...
The name is Cloyd.
Gee, you sure sound like him, too.
Here, Bullwinkle, help me tear this cover off.
And when Rocky zipped open the cover, sure enough, there were the two moon men, Gidney and Cloyd.
Whatever were you doing in that getup?
Tell him, Cloyd. Well, I thought it would be a good joke.
Joke? It like to scared us out of 7 years' growth.
Yeah, our two guides still haven't come back.
Sure enough, Boris and Natasha were at that moment heading over the hill and into the sunset.
We left Mooseberry Bush.
Don't talk to me about trifles.
But what we do when Central Control asks questions?
What else? We look him straight in the eye and lie.
But how come you're clear over here in Pennsylvania, Gidney?
Yeah, last we heard you were knocking them dead at Las Vegas.
That was the trouble.
And as they trudged down the hill, Gidney told the boys his story. It seems that after their great success as a song and dance team, a television producer signed them to appear in a new Western show called Moonsmoke. Everything went well until the last scene in the show.
Gee whiz, Marshal Moon. Here comes the Crater Kid now. Something you wanted, Crater?
Yep, I'm calling your bluff, Marshal. Draw.
Cloyd drew all right, but unfortunately fired his scrooch gun directly at the camera. As a result, the entire television audience was frozen solid. All over the country, people were literally glued in front of the television sets. The Late, 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 Late Show had its biggest audience ever.
Gee, then what happened?
Our show was canceled.
How come?
With an audience that couldn't move away from their sets, they didn't need shows.
You mean?
Yep. Now they're showing nothing but commercials.
I'm not so sure I want to go home, Rock.
Oh, it's probably fixed by now, Bullwinkle. Besides, we gotta take back this mooseberry bush.
Mooseberry bush? You found the last one in the world. We can make our rocket fuel. We can get back to the moon. Oh, you're just our favorite Earth people.
Well, I really plan to give this bush to our government.
Give it to your government? But that means we'll never get back to the moon. No, we'll never see the old home crater again. No more sitting on the porch in the evening, watching the Earth come up.
Gee, fellas, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, Rocky. You have your duty to do.
Golly, Bullwinkle, I just feel terrible about Gidney and Cloyd.
Yeah, suppose we were on the moon and couldn't get back.
Yeah. Bullwinkle, I'm gonna do it.
Good. What?
I'm gonna get the moon men back to the moon.
And let down the entire whole United States government? Rocket J. Squirrel, I'm ashamed on you.
And the indignant Bullwinkle turned on his heel and walked away. Well, will Rocky, our Rocky, really fail to carry out his mission? Don't miss our next episode, Fuels Rush In, or the Star-Spangled Boner.
It looks as if our time has just about run out.
Just enough left to tell him who the sponsor was.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop.
Bullwinkle.
Right.
Bye now. See you next time.